Hello everyone, welcome to our BIM Manager Community Meetup. Today I have with me Deepak Mani and Naman Maisarwala. Both of them have done a great job preparing for this meeting. Deepak has a great presentation for you today on using BIM360 Mobile for project communications. And then Naman is going to be helping me in the background answer a lot of your questions. So I'm excited to have them both here. While we're waiting for everyone to join, because I know the numbers are rising very quickly, there's still people coming in to the meeting, let's find out where you are from. So if you will, please go ahead and type in the Q&A panel where you are joining us from, and that way I can start to announce some of you, and it looks like a lot of you have done that already, so let me slow down my screen so that I can see it. Okay. Brian. Okay, so Brian is saying, yes, you're sharing your screen. Yep, we did know that. So, okay, perfect. And Raiders from Orlando, nice to have you. Brian from Illinois, great to have you. Justin from Houston, Aaron from Texas, Horatio from Mexico City, awesome. Brad from Denver, Brian from Planet Earth, Michael from St. Paul, Minnesota, Oscar from Chicago, Brett from Nebraska. Oh, this is wonderful. I still see people coming in, so let's keep going. Rob from Wisconsin, nice to have you. Adam from Salt Lake City. Hey, another Utah native, nice. Great to have you on. Jeff from Iowa. David from Colorado, and the smoke is getting to my eyes again, so sorry if I start crying in here. I'm not really sad, I'm just smoky eyes. Donald from Sacramento, great to have you. Renee from Boise, Idaho, that's not too far from me, great to have you. Dennis from Nashville, Tennessee. Carlos from Mile High City, oh, it must be in Denver, right? All right, Jeff from Seattle, Washington, and I do see the numbers are starting to level off, so I'm gonna go ahead and jump through some orders of business. And first thing, obviously, is our safe harbor statement. If we happen to make any forward-looking statements, please do not make any buying decisions based on that. For the most part, Deepak is going to be showing things that are already in the software, and so we shouldn't have any problem with that, but just in case, again, don't make any buying decisions based on any forward-looking statements that we might possibly make. Now, the lines are muted, but in these meetups, we do encourage participation. So just because your line is muted doesn't mean you're off the hook. We do love to have your questions come in, so continue using that question and answer panel and send those questions to me. I am going to go and grab the link from the forum and post that in the chat panel so that we can continue the conversation afterwards in the forums so that we can hopefully get all of your questions answered. The session is being recorded and it will be emailed out to all the people who have registered. And that way, if you do want to share it with a coworker or someone that you think, oh, this would be really handy for, you know, Charlie next door or Jessica across the, across the other office, you have that available to do that. Again, these are all of our different meetups. This BIM Manager meetup is for both the architectural and civil engineering as well as building engineering folks. So it just depends on if you have an official BIM manager at your location or if you act as the BIM manager and the designer and other things, right? So just keep that in mind. We do have the other meetups. If you are an architect or a building engineer or a civil engineer, you can join us for those as well. So with that, I am going to actually open up and turn it over to Deepak to start sharing his screen. And it looks like a couple more people are still coming in, so this is perfect timing. And Deepak, are you able to share yet?
Yes,
Okay,
I just
perfect.
shared my screen. Let me know when you can see my screen.
I can see your screen. If you'll bring, yep, that's perfect. I'm seeing your slides. Perfect.
And that's
So
the
again,
iPad,
welcome
so
everyone. Sorry. Again, welcome everyone. I'm going to turn it over to Deepak. He is going to be sharing with you all about BIM360 Mobile and how to communicate the project online through the cloud. So Deepak, the time is yours.
Thanks, Michelle. Really appreciate that. I just want to quickly start with thanking you for giving me the opportunity to do this presentation. My apologies if I'm having a cup of coffee as I'm talking, because it's 2:06 a.m. Sydney time. So I don't want to fall asleep doing presentation. So I'm gonna probably just keep sipping on my coffee as I also do my talking. All right, so talking about BIM 360 and mobile apps. My apologies, like you guys say mobile, we say mobile. So same thing, tomato, same thing. So when we talk about field, I want to actually quickly talk about agenda that we're going to discuss today. So obviously, I'm going to show you BIM 360 mobile app. That's the idea of accessing the design documentation or the construction documentation and BIM data in the field using BIM 360 mobile app. I'm also going to talk about how we can add markups. Now, when it comes to adding markups, BIM 360 allows you to add two types of markups: private markups and published markups. Private markups are only visible by the user who creates those markups, and published markups are visible by the rest of the team if they have got access to the folder and the model on which the markup is created. Then we're going to talk about adding issues as well. And finally, RFIs, one of my favorite features. Now, it's really important for us to understand that the functionality to add markups and issues is based on BIM 360 document management service. So if you've got subscription to BIM 360 docs or BIM 360 design, you can do these things. So you can add markups, you can add issues just using BIM 360 docs if you've got docs or design subscription. However, RFIs is basically a functionality of project management service, and project management service is included in BIM 360 Build. So RFIs, checklist management, daily logs, these features are part of BIM 360 Build, and RFIs particularly is a part of or a functionality of project management service. So you need to have the project management service active on your project for you to be able to create RFIs on site using the BIM 360 mobile app. Now, before I jump onto my BIM 360 mobile app, I want to talk about some numbers, and these are staggering numbers. If you look at the construction industry today, you would be surprised to know that it costs construction industry $15 billion a year in rework cost. So as per the Construction Institute, rework costs construction industry over $15 billion a year. Out of those $15 billion, 55% claims are due to inaccurate field data. So the executives are going on field, but they don't have the right information. Maybe they are carrying rolls of drawings, or maybe they are using some electronic way of reviewing or looking at the documents and the drawings, but it's not latest. So 55% of $15 billion, that's over $8 billion a year, is due to inaccurate field data. These are staggering numbers. Also, 62% of the construction professionals transfer field data manually or via spreadsheets, according to Emerson Reliable Consulting. How crazy is this? 62% of construction professionals have to transfer the field data manually or via spreadsheet. 30% of the data created during design and construction is lost by the project closeout. So Michelle is paying me all this money to create BIM data, and we are using different technologies to do that. But by the time I hand over the project to Michelle, 30% of that information is already lost. So these are staggering numbers. And as I mentioned, one of the main cause of all this is because of not having the right technology to give you right information in the field. And this is where comes BIM 360. BIM 360 allows you access to the latest and greatest documentation, not only in the office on your PC, but also in the field using the BIM 360 mobile app. So if I now jump onto my BIM 360 mobile app, so this is my BIM 360 mobile app. Michelle, just a quick check to see if you can see my iPad right now.
Yes, we are looking at your iPad.
Fantastic. So this is my iPad, as you could see, 2:11 a.m. Sydney time. How much fun is that? And if I go into this bottom area here, I've got a few different BIM 360 apps. Most of these are obsolete apps because the app that we work with now is this one here that says BIM 360. You can download this app through your app store, whether you're on the Apple devices or your Android devices. It's available for both devices. So that's really important for you to understand that the BIM 360 app is not just available for Apple devices, it's also available for Android devices. Now, Michelle and I, we created a course a detailed course on BIM 360 mobile app. In that course, I also mentioned some of the differences between the two apps. We would strongly recommend, at the end of this, Michelle would actually show you a link to the course and where you could go and have a look at that course. So it's important for you to go through all the differences, but they're just minor differences. There's not too much. There's no major difference anyway. So I'm going to tap on my BIM 360 mobile app. It now opens my BIM 360 mobile app. And if I tap on this little menu on the top left, I can see that I'm logged in as this user here. And currently I'm logged in into this project called Medical Laboratory Project. Now this particular user has been given access to the PDF files folder in the plans area. So as you could see, I can only see PDF files folder. And in the project files area, this user has got access only to the shared folder. Now this is where, again, BIM 360 is a fantastic concept. If I just quickly jump onto my Chrome window, I want to show you what this project is all about. So if I go into this project administration, on this particular project, which is the medical laboratory project, we've got the document management service active. We also have design collaboration service active. So design collaboration service is one of those services that allows you to run Revit cloud-based collaboration and so on. And that's the best part of this. Michelle, there's a question. I'm not sure if it's for me. Yeah, Michelle's added. Fantastic. See, I knew she's going to do it. Thanks, Michelle.
You bet.
All right. We've got design collaboration service active on this as well. And because of this design collaboration service, this project here has got all these different disciplines. So we've got architecture, we've got structure, we've got MEP, all these different disciplines working together on this project. But the best part of this BIM 360 design collaboration module is this folder here called shared folder. I just absolutely love this concept. So shared folder is where all the released files would sit from each of these disciplines or each of these consultants or contractors. So every time a discipline releases a file for the rest of the teams to look at, it would be available in the shared folder. And what we normally do is, to the field executives, we give access to this shared folder. By giving access to this shared folder, the field executives get access to the current and the latest release documents from all the disciplines. So as soon as structure or mechanical or architecture or whatever service you've got sitting there, as soon as they release a file, so as soon as they share their package, it's available in the shared folder. And you give access to the share folder to the field executives, which means that they would always have the latest and greatest information in the field using their BIM 360 mobile app. So this is what I've done. If I go back to my BIM 360 mobile app, on this project, this user has got access to the shared folder. So as soon as I tap on the shared folder, I can see architecture, MEP, structure. So on this project, MEP is a single unified model. So if I tap on MEP, I can see this Revit model here. But again, a really cool feature of this is that if you've got a unified mechanical, electrical, plumbing model, you could create different views in Revit. So this is a Revit model, as you could see. You could create different views in Revit, and you could share or you could publish those views, which means that the field executives can not only just see all the federated models, they can also look at individual views. So for example, right now I'm looking at the 3D electrical view. And if I tap on this menu on the top right, I could go into sheets and views here. And it now gives me access to all the sheets that were published and also the views. So for example, if I click on this B360D view here, as soon as I tap on it, it now opens this 3D view in a few seconds. And this 3D view is now giving me access to the full federated MEP model, along with the linked structure model. So in this view, I've not only just got the mechanical, electrical, plumbing model, I've also got the linked structure model in here as well, just in case I'm on site doing some installation and making sure that things are working fine. Similarly, if I tap on the menu button on the top right again, if I go on the sheets and views, I've got my 3D mechanical view, I've got my 3D plumbing view. I also have got a clash detection view here. So clash detection view was published to make sure that when you're running clashes, you're not including flexible ducts and things like that in clashes. So in my case, let's say I'm a mechanical installer and I've gone on site to do some mechanical work. I can now tap on this 3D mechanical view. It now opens a view which only shows mechanical discipline in it. It doesn't show the rest of the disciplines. If I tap on this little eye icon on the top right, it shows me that there are issues and RFIs in this view. I can tap on any of these to turn them off. So this is how you can switch between different views and different sheets in this iPad app. Again, if I tap on the menu on the top right, I can also look at issues and RFIs and things like that right from here. But if I just quickly cross out of it and then go back to the original page, so this is my home page on my BIM 360 mobile app. And if you look at the bottom toolbar, I've got some options here, such as documents, issues, checklist, sync, daily logs, and RFIs. As I mentioned earlier, documents and issues are part of your basic BIM 360 document management service. So if you've got BIM 360 Docs or BIM 360 Design, you've got access to all of these. RFIs, daily logs, checklist, all these are part of BIM 360 Build subscription. So RFI would be available if you have activated project management service on your project, which is what I've done. I showed you earlier as well. Because I've got project management service active on this project, I can see RFIs. So when you are on site, you normally would start your day on this page here, and then depending on what you're trying to do, if you're on site to resolve some issues, you would simply tap on issues on the bottom toolbar, and it'll show you all the issues that you've got open. Depending on how and where the issue was created, it would also tell you the location of the issues and so on. Similarly, if you are on site to do some installation and you want to access the documentation, for that you would simply tap on the documents option on the bottom toolbar. So if I tap on documents, here we go. And as I said, if I go to the plans area, I've got access to the PDF files. If I tap on any of these PDF files, I can see all these PDF files here. Similarly, if I go back, if I go to the project files area, I've got shared folder. So now that we understand the interface a bit, let's say in my case, I'm on site and I'm doing some installation. Let's say to start with, I'm doing some structural installation. If I go to the plans area and the PDF files, I've got all these different fabrication and installation documents here. So if I tap on any of these PDF files, so note that I'm now in PDF files. So if I tap on any of these PDF files, it now opens these PDF files here. And just like any other program, I can zoom in, zoom out, I can look at the PDF file. So to zoom in or zoom out, you simply pinch. If I pinch my fingers, it zooms out. If I spread the fingers, it zooms in. If I simply hold or tap one of the fingers down and drag, that's panning. So let's say I'm looking at this document here and there's some problem. Now I've got two options to work with that problem. I can either tap on markups and add markups, or I can tap on issues and add issues. Now, personally, I'm a big fan of issues because issues have got a proper issue management system running in the background, which means that when I create an issue, I can assign it to someone. As soon as I assign the issue to someone, they get notification straight away through an email that there's an issue for them to look at. They can then look at that issue, they can action the issue, they can change the status and things like that. But let me quickly start with markup first. So if I tap on markup on the bottom toolbar, now I'm in the markup environment. Now this is a PDF file. So in a PDF file, when I'm in the markup environment, I can zoom in and out. But please note that when you're working with 3D models, which I'll show you in a sec, when you're working with 3D models, then in the markup environment, you can't really zoom in and out of that view. You'll have to actually navigate to the location before you start adding markups. Also on the top left here, I can see that currently this is going to be a private markup. If I tap on it, I can make it as a published markup. But I want to start with private markup. I've got this freehand tool available by default. I can tap on any other tool. So let's, in my case, I'm going to tap on the cloud tool. And now I've got cloud tool active. I've got line style that I can change from here and fill style. So if I tap on line style, I can reduce the line thickness by tapping on the option here. I'm going to change it to blue color. And now I can drag two opposite corners to create a cloud. I can also tap on fill style and I can fill this cloud with a color. Similarly, let's increase the line thickness to this. Yep, that's good. And now if I tap on this arrow to go back, I can now go and add a text. So if I tap here and then tap on default text, and I can now modify this text here. Let's say well details missing, so we can get them to add well details. And then if I want, I can also go and add an arrow or whatever it is. So let's say an arrow from here to here somewhere. So as you could see, when I was adding this markup and this arrow, it remembered that I changed my color to blue, so it remembers those settings. Now, once I'm done adding the markup, I can tap done. As soon as I tap done in this PDF environment, I can see this markup here. Now, if I tap on the menu button on the top right again, it's telling me that I've got one markup here. If I tap on markup, it's telling me that that's the markup created by this user today. As you could see, it's telling me it's a private markup. At any point of time, I can tap on this and I can say publish. So right now, only I can see this markup. Nobody else can see this markup. But as soon as I tap on publish, that's when it says, are you sure you want to publish the markup? I'll say, yep, no worries. As soon as I say, yes, publish markup, that's when all the members of my team who've got access to the PDF files in the plans area will be able to see these markups. However, I have not notified anybody about this. So I have not told that there's a problem for somebody to look at. It's like a markup. If somebody goes into this, yep, there's a markup there. So that's why I'm a fan of using issues and not markups that much. So let's now have a look at creating issues. Let's say I'm the mechanical installer. I go on site and I have some installation issue. So if I go into my shared folder, I could go into MEP folder here. So I'll tap on MEP. I'll tap on this model. And just like what I showed you earlier, I'll tap on the menu on the top right. And I'm going to go into Sheets and Views. And I'll tap on 3D Mechanical. As soon as I do that, it now shows me the 3D Mechanical view. Alternatively, I could just tap on this and I can go and say Sheets and Views. And if I tap on B360D, which is BIM 360 Design View, which I showed you earlier is a federated view. In this, I've got the mechanical, electrical, plumbing disciplines, but I also have a structure discipline in there. So let's say I find that there's a problem somewhere here for somebody to fix. I can simply go into that location, and now I can go and create an issue. If I go and add a markup, so for example, if I tap on markup option in this case, I'm in the markup environment now, but if I try to zoom in or out, I can't do anything. That's because in the 3D views, as I mentioned earlier, once you are in the markup environment, you can't navigate in that view. So if you really want to navigate in the view, you'll have to exit out of the markup environment, go to the view where the problem is first, and then activate the markup environment. So if I tap on markup now, I can now go and add markups. So similar to the last time, if I go and say cloud, I'm going to use blue color for the cloud. Let's use this line weight, and I'm going to drag 2 corner points here, and I can also go and use the fill color. So pretty much the same concept that I showed you in the PDF file. Now in the 3D environment, I have to tap on done. Once I tap on done, that's when I can see this markup. And now I can tap. So what I need to do is, again, although I am no more in that markup view, in the markup environment, but I'm still in the markup view. So I'll have to tap on this exit markup view to be able to go back. And to view that markup, I'll tap on the menu on the top right again, and I can go and say markups, and that's how I access the markup. But as I mentioned, I'm not a big fan of that. I rather prefer creating issues. So if I go into, let's say, this environment here, and there's a problem with, let's say, one of these vents, I can now tap on issue option on the bottom toolbar. Now, the first thing it'll do is it'll ask me to place the new issue pin. So I'll tap on this element here. As soon as I do that, it now places a pin there and takes me to this issue creation environment. The type is set to design. If I tap on this design option here, I can say, no, that's not actually a design issue. It's a clash issue. It's clashing with something. I can tap on some details here. So this element clashing with the steel. If I could spell it right, obviously, I could add some description here. But most importantly, I can now tap on assign to. So if I tap on assign to, it shows me the list of all the available members I could assign to. Obviously, I can't assign it to myself. In my case, I'm going to assign it to Carlos. Carlos is based in Perth. So it's about 11:30 in the night his time. So I'm going to tap on him and wake him up to action the issue. Now I can also tap on location, and I can say, all right, this is in Tower 1 or Tower 2, so that's Tower 1. Now please note that the location was visible because I've added location into this project. Due date, I'll tap on this and I'll say, Carlos, you need to fix it by Saturday, and owner is me. Now, root cause, this is my favorite features. I would strongly recommend adding root causes to the issues, because as a project admin, I could start my day on my project homepage, which I'll soon show you. And one of the cards that I could have on my dashboard is issues by root causes. So it gives me a single page, like one-stop shop, to look at all the issues by root cause, so I can figure out what the problem is. Is it the coordination issues, or is it the clash issues, or is it some training issues, or whatever? So if I tap on root cause here, I could go and say this is a design coordination root cause. And if I want, I can also tap on this camera button and take a photograph. If I already have some photographs taken, I could just click on them and use that. So I'm going to go and say done, attached to the issue. With this, I'll tap on create. So as soon as I tap on create, the user who was assigned this issue is straight away notified. If I tap on this issue here again, I can see the details of this issue. I can see the attached photograph here as well. So just for this discussion here, I'm going to change the assign to this user here, who's actually logged in as an admin on Chrome. So I'm going to assign it to this user here. So as soon as I reassign this issue to this user, they now get an email about this issue. So imagine if this user was sitting in the office and said, normally I would start my day on my BIM360 homepage. And if I do a quick refresh now, because I've added an issue, I would start my day on this BIM360 Insight homepage, which is like a one-stop shop to look at different issues in my project, different submittals, RFIs, and so on. And one of the cards that I've added is issues by root causes. So if I look at this card here, which is issue by root cause, I can straight away see that there are all these different issues. There are design coordination issues, code compliance issues, and so on. There are also 7 undefined issues, which, as I said, should not be the case. You should always have issues assigned. And that's the email. Look at this. This user got an email straight away that there's an action, there's an issue that they need to action. So this user can now go into the project issues card here. They can look at the details of this, or if this user is in the document management window, they could simply go to the issues area and they can see all the issues that are assigned to this user. So in my case, as you could see, this is the issue that I just assigned to this user, and the due date is this here. So this is the really cool feature of the issue management system, where as soon as you assign an issue to a user, they get notification straight away that you just saw in an email. They can now click on this issue and they can start actioning this. Once they have actioned the issue, they can then change the status of this issue. So in this case, if I go and say status to answered, and I could add an official answer, yeah, this is resolved in the next model. Please review the model. And as soon as I go and say done, so what happens is, and this is the best part of that shared folder. So this issue was raised, there's a problem, and the design team gets together and says, all right, yep, there's a problem, so we're gonna move this down or whatever it is. And then as soon as they make changes in the design files and they issue or publish or share their package, the user on site now has got all the latest documentations. So when this user goes back on site, or when they are looking at this model here, as soon as they refresh this model, they would straight away see the changes. So in my case, if I just cross out of this issue, and if I cross out of this, I'm going to tap on issues again, and let me just refresh this area here. I would straight away notice that the status of this issue is now changed to answered. And when I tap on this, I can see the activity area. I can see what the activity is. So I'm told that this issue is now resolved in the next model or whatever. And when I go into that model and I tap on the model, I can straight away see that yes, the clash is resolved because I've got access to the latest and greatest documentation. And this is where that $15 billion loss can be reduced by having access to all the latest and greatest documentation on site. And once I'm happy with this, because I created this issue, if I tap on the issue status on the top right, I can now change this to a closed issue. So if I tap on closed, here we go. So this issue is closed. Now, the best part is by closing the issue, we are not losing any information about this issue. It still remains in our project, and we can then access the information about the project at a later stage as well. So we can filter the issues by resolved issues or closed issues or void issues and so on. And this information stays with the project in BIM 360. So when I'm handing over this project to Michelle at the end of this project, she can get all this information as well if she wants. Alternatively, we can just clean up everything and hand over a pretty clean up model or data set to her. So this is about markups and issue management system. Notice that I got an email straight away as well that now this issue has been changed to closed. So this notification system is absolutely amazing, because as soon as any user who's working with the issue changes the status of the issue, the person involved in that straight away gets notification. Also with issues, if you have assigned it to, let's say, Carlos, but you also want to tag somebody else in your activity area, you could simply tap on this text area here, and you could go and type in the @ symbol. And using the @ symbol, you can now tag users, you could tag roles, you could tag companies, and so on by simply going into this area here. So it's not that the issue can only be assigned, yes, issue can only be assigned to an individual, but you could also tag somebody or mention, as it's called, somebody else in, or roles or companies. So if Carlos is not able to action this straight away, at least somebody else is looking at it as well. So that again is a really cool feature with issue management system. With this, I wanna next jump on to the RFI management. Again, a really cool feature. So RFIs are a big part of any construction project. So no matter what kind of project we are working on, there would always be some RFIs in that project. And again, by using building information modeling or digital engineering or whatever you want to call it. By using the right technology, we have reduced the number of RFIs in the project. However, we cannot eliminate RFIs. So let's say I'm on site again. I'm a mechanical installer and I've gone and to install some mechanical equipment. And in the documentation that I've been provided, let me just turn off RFIs and issues. I'm going to go into the mechanical model again. And being a mechanical engineer myself, I love mechanical. So that's why I keep going to mechanical model. All right, so I'm on site and I'm here to install, let's say, this piece of equipment. In BIM 360 mobile app, I can simply tap on this equipment and I could go into properties and I can look at the properties of this. So these are all the properties that I can look at straight away. Similarly, if I tap on it again, I could go and say section box. So by creating a section box, I'm now looking at the section showing this equipment only, not the entire model. If I want, I can move the section box, I can resize it and so on. And tapping on the section option on the bottom left, I can actually disable sectioning. Similarly, I can also use the measure tool. So if I tap on, let me cross out to properties. If I tap on measure option on the bottom toolbar, it says tap 2 points to measure. So let's say I want to find out what's the distance between, let's say, this corner point. And if I tap and hold my finger down, it shows this little zoom area here that allows me to select the right point. So I'll tap on this point here. And now I'm going to tap on this corner point. And as soon as I do that, it not only shows me the distance value, it also shows me the X, Y, Z values as well. So it's telling me that the Z offset is minus 4.4 feet. I'll say, yep, that's fine, no worries. And if I tap on settings on the top right, I could go and change my units. I could go and say feet and inches in fraction. So it's now telling me that these are the values. So this is okay, but let's say I do not have the right information about the servicing area that I need to leave around this. So if I exit out of the measure environment, I'll tap on this cross option. I'll tap on this element again and I'll say, show me the properties, but none of the properties here is showing me anything about the servicing area that I need to leave around this element for installation. Let me turn off issues and RFIs. So what I could do in this case is I could now go and create an RFI. Now, again, the really cool process is that once you create an RFI, the people involved in it would be notified. And if I just quickly jump onto my BIM 360 administration page, because I want to talk about the RFI management process. If I go into the project management module, because that's the module that runs RFI, so you have to first activate the RFI workflow. In my case, the RFI workflow that I've activated is everybody is given access to create an RFI. However, the way that RFI process works is, although everybody can create an RFI, it doesn't mean that it's going to be a valid RFI. So if I click on this view extended workflow option, the way it's going to work is everybody can create an RFI, but it would be as a submitted RFI going to the manager first to look at. The manager would then decide whether it is a valid RFI or whether it's not a valid RFI. If it's not a valid RFI, the manager can actually close this and say, yep, no, you've got all the information, don't need anything else. Or the manager could say, you know what, it's actually a valid RFI. Then the manager would set the status of this to open, and then that RFI would go into the reviewer who needs to review it. And when the reviewer answers the RFI, the answer first comes to the manager rather than going to the creator. It first comes to the manager reviews it and sees, all right, yep, there's all the information that is requested or that was requested. Yep, and then the manager could go and say, yes, that's a closed RFI. Or the manager could say, you know what, I don't have the answer that I was looking for. So they could reject this RFI and it could then go back to the reviewer and they could then have to, they would have to provide the information all over again. So that's the workflow: creator to manager to reviewer to manager, and then back to creator. So now that we understand this RFI workflow, that's exactly what's going to happen on our BIM360 mobile app. So if I go and tap on RFI on the bottom toolbar here, so this is the BIM360 mobile app. I'll tap on RFI. Now, the first thing it says, tap to place the new RFI. I'm going to tap on this piece of equipment here, and I'll say, all right, so that's the RFI. As you could see, the status is submitted. Title, I'll tap on this title here, and I'll say missing servicing area info. Question to ask, how much area do I need to leave around it, or whatever it is. Now, because I'm an experienced mechanical installer, I could also suggest an answer. So let's say we need 5 feet min all around. And now I can assign it to, so if I tap on assign to, notice that the only user I can assign to is this one here. Because although all the users can create RFIs, but they can't send it to everyone. It has to be first reviewed by the manager, and this user is the manager, so I'll tap on this user. I can add location details here. So if I go and tap on location details, I'll say tower 2, level 2, or whatever. Due date, because I'm on site, I don't want to waste my time, so I'll say I need an answer today if possible. If I tap on co-reviewers here, I could also go and add a co-reviewer. Now it shows me all the other members of the project as well. Similarly, I could add a distribution list to others as well. I'm also going to tap on this camera button to take the photograph. And in this case, I'm going to use an existing photograph. So that's the existing photograph that I have just taken. I'll say, yep, attached to the RFI. And now I'll tap on create. As soon as I tap on create, now there's a new RFI created, and the manager gets a notification straight away that there's an RFI for them to look at. And the manager can now go, depending on whether they are in the field or they are in the office in front of their computer. So if they are in the office in front of their computer, they could go into the document management interface, and then they can go into project management. And this is where they'll see the submitted RFI. As soon as I go to this module, you would notice that there is it'll show all the RFIs that are available, but this is the RFI that was submitted. So as soon as this user, so as you could see, that's the RFI notification right here. I'll click on the submitted RFI, and I've got the information here. I can see what was asked. I can see, all right, there's an attachment here as well. There's an activity, all this stuff. So if the manager thinks, yes, this is a valid RFI, we need the information too, the manager can then go and change the status of this to submit to reviewer, or they could say, you know what, no, this is not right. We've got all the information, so they can reject the RFI. But in this case, they're going to go and say submit to reviewer. Now, as soon as they click on submit to reviewer, you can add co-reviewers like last time, distribution list or whatever it is. But most importantly, you can define an RFI number here. In my case, it automatically picks the RFI number because that's the scheme that I'm using. I'll click submit. Now, as soon as I click submit, the status of this RFI is changed from submitted to open, and the reviewer gets the notification. Now, in this case, I'm also the reviewer. So if I tap on this RFI now, I can see what the information was requested. I can look at the activities. I can look at the issues, attachments, and so on. And if I'm the one who's supposed to provide the information, I could now go and add attachments. I could add activities and so on. So in this case, if I go and say, yes, I want to go and add some information, I want to upload it from my computer. It says, where do you want to upload it from? I'll say on the desktop, I've got this data set here. And let's say the information is available in this PDF file. So I'll attach the PDF file. And now I could submit an official response once it finishes attaching the PDF file. So I'll click on submit official response. Now this is status is set to answered. Attached PDF file has all the details. Submit. Now, as soon as I submit this, because it needs to go to the manager first, so the manager gets notification that the RFI is answered, and the manager can then click on the answered RFI. They can look at the activity. They can see, all right, there's an attached PDF. They can click on it. And if they are happy with the answer, they could now go and click on this option here and say, yep, closed and distribute. That means we got all the answer, or return it to reviewer for more details. In this case, I'm going to go and say close and distribute. I'll say, yep, attached PDF has all the details. And I'm going to go and say close RFI. So once I close this RFI, the field executives would get an email notification straight away if they are in their email environment. Alternatively, if they are not in their email environment, they're waiting for the answer. Now, when they tap on the RFIs option down the bottom here, I'll simply drag this down to refresh. So it's now, I don't know why it's showing failed to sync RFI. Let's actually retry. Yep, there we go. So now maybe there's an internet issue on the iPad, but I can straight away see that the RFI status is set to closed, and I can tap on activity, and this is where it's showing me all the activities here. But most importantly, I can see that there's an attached PDF file. So on site, on my mobile app, I can tap on this PDF file to open this PDF file, have a look at all the details that I was after. And if the PDF file has got all the details, I can now continue with my installation. So again, the whole idea of having all the latest and greatest information on site as soon as the answer is provided. So I've got all, yeah, there you go. I've got all the installation details here, and I can now use this information to continue with my installation. How cool is that?
Hey, Deepak.
So, yep.
Can you just talk about, like, can you use these if you don't have an internet connection on the site?
Brilliant question. Yes, I was about to mention that. So the really cool thing about BIM360 mobile app is a lot of this, or most of this workflow can be used on site even when there's no internet, including the documentation. So all the folders would have this little down arrow here. So if I go into the shared folder also, you could see that all these folders have got the down arrows. Similarly, if I go into the PDF files area or PDF files folder, I can see this down arrow. What this does is it lets me download these documents on my device, which means that if I'm going on site and if there's no internet, I can still continue working with this. So BIM360 mobile app allows access to all these features in the offline mode as well. Same thing with issues. I could go and create issues in the offline mode. And if the internet, if there's no internet, obviously it is still sitting on my machine. As soon as I'm back in the connectivity range, that's when it does automatic sync. So BIM360 mobile app does not need manual syncing. It is always syncing if there's a internet connection. If there's no internet connection, that's when I could come here, I could tap on sync, and I could manually sync. But otherwise, we do not need to sync anything because BIM360 mobile app does automatic syncing. And in answer to the question, yes, it gives us access to all these features in the offline mode as well. Now, there's one little difference in the Android app. So when you're working with the Android app, some properties or some file properties are not available. Some filtering properties are not available in the offline mode, but on the Apple apps, they are. So we are right on time. So we talked about how we can get access to all the latest and greatest documents on site using the BIM360 mobile app by going to the documents area. And again, this was a BIM360 design enabled project. That's why the field executives were given access to the shared folder, which means they always had access to the released files. No work in progress files, only the released files or shared files, as we call them. Then we looked at adding markups, private markups and published markups. We then looked at creating issues. So issues could be on excuse me, on PDF files or 3D models or 2D sheets. And then finally, we looked at the RFI management system, where we created an RFI on site. We then went through the entire RFI workflow by making sure that the RFI is created by the user on site. It goes to the manager to reviewer, and then back to the creator via manager. So a really cool RFI management workflow. And that's pretty much all I have in this presentation. I want to now open this for questions. So if you guys have any questions, I can now answer those.
You bet they do. Horatio is asking, is it possible to create an issue from a template using the iPad? He knows that it's available using the web browser, but he wants to know if it's available on the iPad.
So if I go into issues here, let's say, let's go into a PDF file. And if I go into, let's say this, sorry, let me bring up my iPad. So if I tap on issues here, and if I tap on this whole, so the template that I've got available is pretty much what I see here. It doesn't give me access to all the other template details that we've got. So if I go into my information here, so all the details that we've got here based on issue templates, that kind of information, or not all that information is available. But if I just quickly go and create a new template, and let's say I want to create a new category, let's call it as let's say site issues. Issue title could be site issues, create. And if I go and say title would be site location issues. And because these are site issues, I'm gonna go and say these are going to be requirement changes. Initial status is always open, and this is going to be assigned to, let's say, this user. Due date, let's say, always going to be 5 calendar days. Location, I'll leave it there. So if I go and create this template, so now that's a site issue template created. If I go into my BIM360 mobile app, let me just cancel out of this, and let's just do a quick refresh. So if I go into PDF files again, and then tap on, let's say, this file, and then if I tap on issues, let's say I want to create the issue somewhere here. Now, again, if I tap on type, so I've got this information here, but not really the template information that we were looking for earlier. So the answer is we've got some information that we have got available on the excuse me, on the iPad app, but not all the template information. I think it's one of those wish list items as well.
Okay, great. And we have a question. Are there reconciliation issues, and how does it resolve when there are issues?
So what kind of reconciliation issues are we talking about?
That is a good question. Let me try opening up the line. Let's see.
Maybe you can talk about versions and markup, how the markups are related, maybe.
So every time you look at the file, it would always tell you the version number that you're working on. So if I, let me just cancel out of it. So whenever I go into a folder or I go into a file, I can always go and look at different versions and so on of this file. I can tap on it and look at all those details. But the good thing about issues is, or markups, is when you tap on any issue or any markup in a file. So if I, this one doesn't have, let's go into the one that had markups. Yep, I think this one's got a markup. So it tells you what version the markup was created on. So it gives you all that information. So if I tap on this here, you could see here that this was created on version 3. So that information is available with the model for sure, yeah.
So let me try opening up. So the question came from, and I apologize if I say your name wrong, Svetlana Katova. Can you talk to us? I've tried opening your line. I've seen you in here twice, so I've opened up both of them. Let's see if you can talk. I think we can hear you, Svetlova. Maybe they're not hearing us. Okay. So hopefully that answered the question since they're unable to talk to us. Let's go to the next one. Vivek asked the question, can we change the workflow after an RFI is issued?
So after an RFI is issued, I don't think we can change the workflow, but having said that, I can have a look at it because once the RFI is initiated, you can, so the managers can reassign it to, or they can change the roles in the RFI management system. So if it goes from manager to the reviewer, they can go and add additional reviewers in it as well. But I don't think they can change the workflow after an RFI is created. Having said that, Michelle will make a note of it and we'll get back to Vivek about that.
Yep, absolutely. Thomas asked the question, can you use the BIM360 mobile app to create markups, issues, RFIs, etc. as a subcontractor if the general contractor allows us to create them without owning BIM360? So I think that's a licensing thing, right?
That's a brilliant question. Yes, I'm glad that somebody asked that question. So the way BIM360 licensing works is normally it would be the contractor who would actually be setting up BIM360 projects. So the company that is hosting the BIM360 project will be the one, they'll be assigning licenses, or actually there's no really assigning of licenses. So the company that is hosting the project is the one that would be providing the license to all the subcontractors. So as soon as, let's say, company A, which is the contractor, they set up the BIM360 project and they add a subcontractor onto that project. If the subcontractor does not have, so repeat, if the subcontractor does not have BIM360 design license assigned to them, so for all the RFIs and issue management system using docs, then the company hosting the project will be providing licenses. So that's how BIM360 licenses works. Only BIM360 design is the BYOS, so bring your own subscription. All the other BIM360 licenses are provided by the company hosting the project. So if I'm hosting the project, if I add Michelle to my project, then I am providing Michelle licenses to BIM360 build to create RFIs and so on.
Excellent. Well, excellent. A great presentation today, Deepak, especially at 2 a.m. in the morning. So thank you so much for being willing to do that. We are at time. We had just a couple of questions that didn't get answered, so we will make sure that we get back to you on that. And we had one that we will follow up on because we're going to check on it. Again, thank you everyone for your time. Hopefully you found this very beneficial. One of you asked the question really quick, you know, why would I want to use this over Navisworks? BIM360 design allows you to actually turn things over in the field and use those mobile apps to communicate with the design team. Whereas Navisworks, you have to have a connection to your network to be able to see those files. So the biggest difference is you can work anywhere with BIM360 capabilities. So again, thank you everyone so much. Thank you, Naman, in the background for helping answer so many of the questions. And again, Deepak, great presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I again want to thank Michelle for giving me the opportunity. Really appreciate that. And this webinar, I think Michelle recorded this webinar. So if somebody wants to watch it later on, they could definitely do that.
Absolutely. Yep. And you will be getting a copy of that in an follow-up email. And so until next time, you have a wonderful day. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Take care, guys. See ya.